Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest is a former ICW Zero G and ICW Tag Team Champion, the Buckfast Barbarian, brilliant nickname, the Scottish Savage, and the Sexy Scot. The last moniker I will discuss in a minute because I've spoken to you about it in private, but please welcome Davey Blaze. Davey, how you doing today, mate? You all good?
How you doing, bro? I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all, mate. No problem at all. Been trying to arrange for a while, sort of been back and forth, just been unlucky with the timing. But I'm glad to
Yeah,
have you on now, mate. There's so much to talk about. You've been doing this for 15 years, but I'm gonna kind of push the wrestling to one side. We've chatted about your appearance on Take Me Out, presented by Paddy McGuinness. So for the folks out there who haven't heard or seen the show, mainly like outside of the UK.
yeah.
Take Me Out was a very popular dating game show on ITV, and Davey appeared in the show. So the footage is out there. So I'll put the link in the description down below. But Davey, please tell me about your appearance. Did you meet the girls before? Did you meet them after? Just tell me more and tell me how it's arranged, Davey. Let me know.
So, getting into the take me out thing,
Hmm.
at that before I even applied for it, I was starting out kind of early days in my wrestling career.
Hmm.
So I was like kind of like a hot, like one of the hottest prospects in Scotland, but it's kind of still a trainee, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And I'd never really had any exposure, but I was always told, like, if you ever get the chance or the opportunity arises, to kind of get exposure, like, and an advert or like a TV show or a movie, like, kind of so you're featured, kind of do it because it will
Yeah.
then establish you and then it will raise your profile.
Yeah.
So when I was 18, my kind of first kind of job that I done was I was a buff butler, a naked buff butler. So we got the company had get given 4 application forms for
Yeah.
ITV, take me out, and I went, oh my god, this is brilliant. Yes, right,
Yeah.
and I kind of mentioned it to my trainer, kid fight, and I said to him, I says this is like, what do you think? And he took me and he said to me, well, literally last year, he says that Marty Scurll went on it, and then he obviously like got the date and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
he says it kind of like evolved him, like
Hmm.
kind of made his career bigger a wee bit. So I got told to go and do it. I went and done it. You go and like I went and done the auditions. But it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, a Monday morning. I walked in like kind of skinhead. Like obviously I didn't have like I couldn't grow a beard back then, but it was like skinhead suit. I literally looked like a kind of British gangster. I feel
Yeah.
like a heavy duty like fucking crime family. But I've walked in. I look like I'm going to court, and there's like 300 guys, like kind of all different ages, all
Mm.
like different
All
builds,
literally
like
fighting for this opportunity to get on national
uh,
television.
I, and like kind of, I'm not being funny, but they were all kind of good looking guys. Like there
Hmm.
was ones that were like the pure chiseled chins and everything, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh my god, this is it. I'm not getting this whatsoever." So I get shouted in first, and then they were like kind of running through, kind of like pretending to get in the lift. Obviously, you're doing a kind of audition. I left the audition, like kind of giving it. I actually kind of feel good. Like
Did they ask you to do like any special skills or anything that makes you stand out?
well, I so this is they said usually like on the audition they say usually at this point if you make it to the show, this is where you like if you get any kind of talents or kind
Mm.
of like things that you can do. And I I just started kind of lying a wee bit, like kind of in a funny way, going, I'll just lie, but there's no way that they'll kind of like call me out on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I can do graffiti. I done paintings with and wall murals with Banksy. I'm a break dancer. I made it to the UK B-Boy Championships, and I'm a landscape gardener, and I can do like see that kind of bush trimming,
Yeah,
topiary. It's like I told them I could do that, so they're like, "Oh wow!" Next thing, it was like
yeah.
months later, I get a phone call going, uh, "Right, that's you. Like you've been shortlisted," and I didn't know what shortlisted meant. So I'm like, "Oh," I mean, "That's terrible." I mean, like, I mean, thanks
And
very
this
much.
guy's been
Me.
shortlisted. Everyone's
Aye.
like, wait, what?
And the guy was just laughing down the phone, and Davey, do you know what shortlisted means? I went, absolutely not. And he's just buckled, man, and he went, it means that you've made it to the final four. And I'm sitting there like, yes, belter, here we go. So we get in, you're there, like ITV Studios, and you're kept away. Feel like you don't see the lassies, don't get to meet them until you commute down the lift.
Oh, really? So
So
you do have that genuine shock and surprise.
aye,
Like, oh, sweet. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hello.
oh, aye, it's mental. But I had that much kind of stage fright, and
Yeah.
like kind of just froze. Like I was like, oh my god, I can't even look at them properly. But it was like I came down the lift. So my recording, I was the last episode of season 6, and I came down the lift and came out, and I'm standing there, and I was like, oh my god. And then obviously they go, Paddy says, right, girls, if you don't like it, give it a hit. And it was like only 12, so there's like 30
Yeah, yeah.
girls. And it was like only 12 lights went out. At that moment in time, I thought, oh my God, 20 lights have just went out. That's it. I'm going to be a laughing stock. I made it to the second round, and then the third round, my talent was breakdancing. So I breakdanced to Paddy McGuinness.
Yeah.
They gave me like this kind of take me out World Heavyweight Championship for defeating Paddy, and boom, I got the date. We went to Las Americas in Tenerife. It was that's what they call Fernando's, and the date was a success as well. And aye, that was it. It was
Nice.
brilliant, and that was the first thing it kind of like done me well in my career.
Yeah. Gave you that exposure. But just a few things I do want to like touch on it as well. I think it was like the highlight video. To show you wrestling, and it does. If the girls are kind of like the ones that have already said yes, they're quite interested.
Yeah,
What's funny, one was like, "Oh yeah, actually fancy your mate in the video," and it was
aye,
you sharp. Honestly, mate, it was brilliant.
aye, mate.
Um,
The funny thing was, as well with her, she was
yeah.
actually from Glasgow.
Oh
So
wow.
she was like, "Oh, I kind of fancy your mate, eh?" And I just turned in there, like pure casual. I just went like,
Yeah.
well, that's no worry." I went, there's still plenty more lights left. And
Yeah.
Paddy was like,
It's the way you
"Oh,
said it as well. It's like,
like that, boom." I was like, "You can't catch me again."
and there was a girl who said like you look like the Rock as well. I was just like,
Aye,
oh,
that lasted.
maybe now, but back then,
Aye,
baby face, really young, short hair.
aye.
It's just
Like, I had a short back and sides and like kind of
yeah,
combed to the sides, and she's like, "Oh, you've got the Rock's haircut." And I went, "When did the Rock ever like kind of strut about with a short back and sides and short at
yeah.
the top?" Like I was like, "I no bother, hen, Phil." Like obviously, just pure mind blowing.
And you're doing the paint as well, casually, just like
Oh, aye, because obviously they called me out on the all three things, so it was like the graffiti, the bush trimming, like
yeah,
doing the topiary. And so when you see me doing the spray painting, at first they went, they had bought 3 big massive canvases, and they went, right, we want you to obviously on each one take me out. I made up like some excuse, and I thought I was getting away with it. I was like, oh, the canvases are too small, and the caps,
yeah.
it's sprays like
It's not the right environment.
Aye, and he took me and went, oh, well, just do a love heart then. And so when the camera pans on me, like when I'm doing the VT,
Yeah,
you see me pure raging, like because I'm like a 5-year-old can like draw better than with a love heart that I've done.
but
But
that can
aye,
be
so
passed off as like art these days. To be fair, what you did, like, it's it's the way you're just like, oh, that video's brilliant.
I was just like that's it. I'm here. Like
Yeah,
just go with the flow. But I
yeah.
and it worked out quite well.
But you did well, man. You did well. I would highly recommend anyone watching it after watching this interview, even pause now and then come back to the interview. I will put the link in the description below. But I'm glad you actually told me like where you went after because the footage unfortunately does cut off
Yeah,
before we find out who you pick and then where you go. And but I'm glad there was a happy ending. It gave you the exposure into how I know you from wrestling.
yeah.
You know. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from my next guest.
Hi, I'm Steph DeLanda, and I'll be appearing on What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah, I heard. You did everything that a wrestler does in the entrance, and I can see it in your the work in ICW and work you do now. But I want to rewind the clocks a little bit, Davey,
Yep.
and find out what made you a wrestling fan in the first place.
So what made me a wrestling fan was it was well, obviously like growing up, I always said I wanted to be a wrestler, and I
Mhm.
used to, when my brothers watched it back in the Attitude Era, like I would watch it with them, and like it was like one of the first things that like I said, but obviously back then, like my two older brothers and my mum and dad were like, "Oh, that's cute,"
Yeah.
and it wasn't until they realised, like, until I was in 10 year in my career that, oh, not know what I mean. But came back, it was like watching it, like just the aspect of it, like watching these guys like come out like absolute titans, and like just everything about it,
Mhm.
like the storytelling, and I was so glued to it, and I was like, if anything, like
Mm.
that's what I want to be in it. It was I had the blinders on, and it was just back then, obviously, like kind of growing up, I always thought that it was I'd never thought like in Scotland or even the UK there was like any wrestling skills like
Yeah.
whatsoever. It was, so my dad then started taking me to like kind of PBW shows when I was growing up, because obviously the WWE tickets back then couldn't afford them, but it was I went to BCW like back when it was Drew Galloway still there before he get signed, and like Lionheart, Wolfgang, Kid Fight, BT Gun and stuff like that. And watching that, I get even more into it, because I was like, I never even knew there was a wrestling scene in
Mm.
Scotland. You know what I mean? And when I just like years went on, I get bullied and I end up getting put in the hospital. And I couldn't really, I didn't know how to like defend for myself, and I wasn't really, I was like built like that.
Mm.
So like when I came into hospital for basically saying I basically get attacked off a group of guys because I said that I want to be a WWE wrestler when I'm older, and it was just aye. So it was. I started wrestling training when I was 15 at the PBW Academy,
Yeah.
and I for there it just kind of it took.
Sorry to hear about that, by the way. Just bullying,
You see,
just
but
because you
it's
like wrestling. It's
mate, that's it. And like, the way
disgusting.
I see it now, it's like I'm the one that's got the last laugh. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's
big
like,
time. They're probably miserable assholes, just
yeah, exactly,
doing
mate.
nothing themselves. And I'm having a conversation with you about your 15-year career in wrestling, and you've been in a company that has been on the W Network, which is watched
Yeah,
by millions and millions across the world. So you did get the
yeah,
last laugh. So fuck them people. Um,
exactly, brother. Amen
I
to
don't
that.
I don't swear a lot, but I've got it for this point. Um, did you used to stay up for wrestling shows, by the way? As we're kind of similar ages, did you stay up like till 1 o'clock to tape them or even watch them live? Just the
Oh,
Americans, when they're not, they moan now about the shows at like 1 o'clock in the
yeah,
afternoon or whenever. Just like we've had to do it for years and years and years, decades.
mate. It was back then when I done it. Like obviously the Attitude Era, it
Mhm.
was like NTL. I think kind of obviously like your TV boxes like satellite. So it wasn't until my mum and like Sky came out,
Yeah.
and so I would like buy like WrestleManias. I would like record and like watch Raw, SmackDown, or like Saturday Saturday Night Main Event, or like all these kind of like WWE shows and TNA back in the day. Um, uh, I would watch them, and like if they were on live and I'd bought it, even if my mum and dad had said, "No, like bedtime," like I would go in, watch it, and then they
Yeah.
would come in and ground me. And I'd
Gotta
be like,
sneak in.
love it,
Yeah.
absolutely. Aye,
Just
aye.
tiptoe like during the
End up
break.
giving my man dad a switch on music. Aye.
Love it. I love it, mate. Where did you train? So 2009 is when you began the training, isn't it? But where did you train specifically?
Yes. So the PBW Academy back then,
Hmm.
um, it was it was their unit was based in East Kilbride, um, and it was at a kind of unit place in an industrial estate called Dixon Place.
Yeah.
So that was where we trained, but it was like it was when it snowed, like especially up in East Kilbride, because it's like kind of you're out kind of near the country, and it was like when you had like bad weather, like especially the snow and the cold. Like every Sunday, we used to train from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. like at night, and it was hard. Like it was like basically separate the boys from the men, and like they were beasting everybody, but it was in a good way,
Yeah.
because obviously it was like I've came from a military family. My brothers, my dad, and my uncle that were on the army. Like so before I even went into wrestling, I had that kind of discipline. But like the I get obviously kind of, what do you call it? I get a new attitude kind of battered into me, the respect and kind
Yeah,
of
like you were
this
just
is how
been
you need to
you
be in wrestling
you
and
were going
kind
to
of
put up with no matter what because you
yeah,
loved
yeah,
it, and obviously your background as well kind of gave that sort of advantage in
aye,
a way.
aye, and that's it, mate. Like, if you get into wrestling, like especially when I obviously became pro and then taking training and stuff like that,
Mhm.
like coming through the years, like I did the exact same. Like still to this day, they like kind of trainees, and even when I do like guest seminars, like because I want them to kind of understand back in my generation what it was like. So it's like
Mm.
if I want to see if you want it, then how much how
Mm.
much you like
We're
want it.
going to test you and see how much you want, especially at that age as well. You would have been only what, a teenager, what, 15, 14?
Literally 15, yeah,
Yeah,
and that was I just turned 15, so it was the start when I went to the training. It was the first Sunday in the month of January in 2009 that I started. And it was
so young.
it was still the best thing ever. I've always said that I've ever done.
And like, I think you said, I don't know if it's before recording or at the beginning, at one point you were the youngest wrestler in Scottish wrestling history to hold the Triple Crown of Tag Team Championship Wrestling.
I mean, there wasn't even that was a trail, even at that, it was a trailblazing moment
Mm.
because before I accomplished that and kind of made that a kind of thing, like nobody had ever done it.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't heard of. But the only like the only other two wrestlers, sorry, the first wrestler to do it, it wasn't with tag belts. It was with the Scottish heavyweight belts.
yeah.
And this even before I started. It was Wolfgang. Wolfgang became the Triple Crown heavyweight Scottish heavyweight champion, like holding all three major heavyweight belts in Scotland at the same time.
Yeah.
And years later, after that, like it obviously, like when I done it, I didn't even realise when I did it with the tag belt. Sorry, I didn't even realise it. What I
Oh
what
wow,
I'd
bloody hell.
accomplished. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't until my trainer Ross, we were backstage at ICW. It was literally winning the third Scottish tag team belt in a different company. So it was get ICW get to the chopper, and I won the belt. Me and Steve have won the belt. Came backstage and I'm sitting speaking to my trainer Kid Fight, and he went, "You've got the other. He said you've got my PBW belt, tag belt. You've got the BSW one, and then you've got that." He went, "Do you realise what you've just accomplished?" And I went, "No." He went, "You're the only person to become the first ever youngest Scottish
mm.
Triple Crown of Tag Team Championship Wrestling." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's wow,
That's fucking
that's
awesome.
crazy."
Yeah,
Aye. And then the next person to do that after me was BT Gunn.
yeah.
So, aye, so
Just
it was
three top tier talent from Scotland. Just
yeah, it was crazy. So it was absolutely
yeah,
mental.
that's
Aye.
sick, man. I want to ask you about your debut, your first in-ring match. I really like asking British talent this because you do
Mhm.
get some funny stories from it. But David, tell me about your first time in the ring with a crowd in a match. No.
So it was BCW in Kilmarnock Grand Hall,
Hmm.
and it was a what was it? It was I was with a tag team. So it was Blazing Rampage, and my tag partner Chris Rampage, me and him, Noam and Andy Wild had all graduated and came through the same class. So BSW was the first big Scottish company to book me, and when I got the booking for BSW, I just turned 16, and we went into a storyline with the models. But before we went into that storyline with the models, we're just starting out, so it was like dart matches. But the fact that I get a dart match and then kind of on Commander Grand Hall, where I went with my dad to watch it, like shows.
Yeah.
It was mind blowing, like the feeling and the humbleness and just appreciating and
Yeah.
respect that.
But you like
Like,
watch them as a fan to being in the ring
yeah,
with them as an
and
opponent.
yeah, and then I'm sitting backstage with them. I was like, wow, like just it's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry to
And
be Mark. Like I've got to let you guys know, like this is a big deal for me.
it was mental. Like we always get it was funny because we always get told coming through, we always get told which side of the barrier do you want to be on, the fan side or the wrestling side. And
Yeah.
I used to, me and Noam and Andy and that, we used to kind of rib one of the wrestling trainers. So I thumped in and I said to him, I went, a bit of F, because after I'm done here, I'm going to be getting home tonight and watching WWE. I went, so it's a rhetorical question, please. He went, don't be a smart ass. And I was like, oh, all right. I went, don't ask a question then. And
Yeah.
I got an absolute beasting at training, but it was, I can remember the first time I ever met Lionheart. I'm in the black suit, so when you're a trainee at shows and you're coming through, everybody does security. It's all part and parcel of paying your dues.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm suited and booted, and the promoter of BCW, Graham, he went, and this is after the dark match, like my first kind of booking for the big company. I'm back in my suit, and Lionheart's like Ganaffi's not about music, like, or that so and so's music's not here, blah blah blah. It's a shambles, and he's saying so. Graham gives me this USB stick or whatever, and he goes, "Go and get it to Adrian." He's up in the stage, and this is back when Lionheart had the fringe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then so I went up, and I'm just standing and looking at him. Like, I'm like, that's Lionheart. Like, and he went, "What do you want, player?" I went, "Yeah, this is for you." I went, "I think it's music." And he went, "Right, cheers, on you go." I went, "Oh my God." I said to him, I went, "Oh my God, you're Lionheart." And he went, "Oh, congratulations." He went, "Right, beat it." So I was like, "Sorry." It was he's like, "No, just don't do it again." But it was crazy. So it was. I've always been thankful for like just how I get into it and like how far I've came. Aye.
You have any
So
Lionheart stories that you can share? I've never really had the privilege of speaking about him. Indeed, so unfortunately, the Western world lost him a couple of years ago. But just any stories that you can, top of your head, like the first one that comes to your mind. Just tell me the music story, but just any
so
stories. Don't have to be sad. I mean, it can be funny, but just the first story.
the first one, the first one that comes to my head was well, we're sitting backstage at we're on I think it was like the second ICW tour.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second night, so we're sitting backstage, and it was down in Cardiff in Wales. So that's before the show, and we're absolutely bust for the night before, like going out to nightclubs and stuff like that. So we're sitting backstage, and me and Adrian are on this kind of big couch, and all the boys always like kind of, even still to this day, they always ask me these questions and like want to hear like my thoughts, even
Yeah.
though I don't mind about it, right? So they go like that. Blaze, who at that time it was Theresa May, right? So they went, Blaze, who's the Prime Minister of Britain right now? Like, she's a woman, isn't she? They're like, aye, that's good, that's good. I'm like, right, I'm like, something. It's like Mother Teresa or something like that. Everybody starts laughing, right? And he's went, no, no, no. One word he said, you've got it right. And
Yeah.
I went, Mother, and he went, no. I went, Teresa, and he went, right. He went, what's her second name? And I'm like, and Adrian went, Theresa May. So I went, Theresa May. And everyone's like, hey.
Yeah.
And he started talking about Brexit, right? What happened in the UK. And one of the boys go, right, do you know what Brexit is? And I've been legit, being serious, I go, it sounds like something you would have like for your breakfast, like Weetabix or something like that. And they go, no, 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 it's when Britain exited the EU.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, and like one of the boys sitting behind the camera, he does this like when he says exited the EU, and in my head I'm like, oh, so that's how they called it Brexit.
Yeah.
He goes like Brexit, and Adrian just buckles. He's like, that's amazing. He goes just goes like Brexit.
Yeah.
Aye, but it was I've got a lot, but it's trying to like kind of remember them.
Yeah. No, that's
in the
fine.
right
That's
order.
fine. It's just
Aye,
Brexit.
aye, just goes like Brexit.
That's ruined it for me. Like, do you have me confused as well? Was it Mother Teresa? Like, I'm thinking now. It's like I'm down.
Aye, he's like, no, he's like, no, no, no. He's like, you've got one
Yeah.
kind of name right. And I'm like, Mother. He's like, no, you're an idiot.
It's like, no, you got it right.
Aye.
So, Dave, where you'd really make a name for yourself and become a major player, ICW, Insane Championship
Yeah,
Wrestling. So, many moments I'd like to discuss with you include the
yeah,
Bucky Boys being put through a table by the Dudley Boys, Team 3D, wrestling at the Hydro
yeah.
against Joe Hendry. Give me some of your favorite moments in your run in ICW.
Fa- Wow. Favorite moments in ICW. Obviously, the first one, becoming like successful, like, like at the start, it was
Yeah,
nah, and then new to where we are. It's me and
yeah,
Stevie the Bucky Boys, like kind of well, nailed this gimmick that Dallas had for years and never trusted it with anybody. So that's the first one. The second one, me and Stevie becoming two-time ICW Tag Team Champions,
mhm,
and then me, me and Stevie when we broke up, when he had the Zero G title, and then me and him getting into the storyline, opening up the SCCC, the biggest sold out crowd like
mm,
in British wrestling history, like kind of record breaking, and us opening the show and like kind of defeating them for the Zero G belt, and then obviously becoming the second kind of big champion in ICW. And then tagging with Joe Hendry, that was good. Like, that wasn't really meant to happen.
mm,
When I started doing my like kind of TV kind of thing, Total Davey, it was I just kind of like word of mouth, like kind of just
mm.
spat it out. I was
How
like,
much
me,
freedom did you get in ICW, by the way? It looks like generally like you're having a time. Oh,
it
didn't make a
was
pen.
there was a, oh,
Um,
it
yeah.
it was amazing. There was a lot of freedom, in the sense, in the aspect of like when you would go in and you would get told, right, this is an idea for you, or
Mhm.
like which if you get in you want to add to it, like if you, any creative kind of ideas or whatever, and you would go it, you would have you would be like your own agent, like when you're wrestling the guys, like you wouldn't have the way WWE have, like if you were wrestling WWE, for what I've heard, it's they give you an agent, and the agent kind of tells you the match and
Yeah.
like what you're doing. Whereas in the British scene, it's like you come up with a match yourself and the structure, and like kind of you have your own free will, and then it's like off to the races. I mean, it was. Like, it was great. Like even with the promos and stuff like that as well. Like, some of my promos were just just off the cuff, like
Hmm.
not even scripted. I just kind of was bouncing off people. The only ones that were scripted and I get told, right, this is what you need to say and how you say it with like kind of what emotion and stuff like that, was like when you're in big storylines.
Yeah.
Um, so it was that was that. That was kind of the kind of freedom you had. It was great. So it was.
Just look like you had the time of your life. It was great. And you was there like literally from sort of the beginnings and then seeing the rise and then seeing like explode and just you was
Yeah,
there involved with all of it. And you see it to develop to what it would become at one point,
yeah,
probably the hottest company in Europe.
yeah. I mean, it was when I kind of came into ISW. Me and Noam and Andy, when we came into ISW,
Hmm.
um, like back, it was just the start of the golden era, and we worked so hard, like not just with ISW, but PBW, BSW, and like kind of other Scottish promotions, like because at that point, at that time, back then, um, like Scotland wasn't the Scotland wrestling scene wasn't really kind of hot. It wasn't kind of jumping for, and then people were like nobody was wanting to come and work hardly in Scotland. Um, but we all kind of came together, like we kind of like weeded out the shit, like to make things better,
Mm.
and obviously to help build things. And yeah, we all came together. There was no egos. There was no like, I'm bigger than the show or this and that. It was like we
Teamwork.
wanted to kind of I like make something of our own,
Yeah.
and we did. Like we were all talented guys, and we knew what we were doing, and like but we had no idea like how well we done it, like how quick it just kind of
Mm.
flew off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it just like shot into like another galaxy.
Yeah.
And we made it literally the number one like wrestling promotion, wrestling indie promotion in the world.
Yeah.
We were selling it arenas.
The whole world was watching it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then
People
obviously,
like Mick Foley were just tweeting about it.
like Mick Foley, obviously Rey Mysterio, Kevin Nash, the Dudleys, Kurt Angle, Rhino, stuff like that,
Yeah.
Sabu, Fergal Devitt,
Mm.
I think maybe Pac and that as well. But and then you had like all the British guys, like the English guys, and then us as well. Do you know what I mean? And like one thing that we always kind of appreciated for like the kind of like big names like imports like for WWE or like back in the day was like they were shocked and they were blown away with like how well and how big like and how great we done kind of making something of our own, and it was great to us like because obviously these were guys that we watched, like grew up watching, and then they want to be on shows with us, and then we get to be in the road with them and like wrestle them up with them in the ring. So it was great. It was it's always like the days are always going to stay with me forever. It was class.
Awesome. What would you say, just to wrap up the ICW talk, what would you say is your favourite match in Insane Championship Wrestling, mate? Guns to your head. You can only pick one match,
God.
Davey.
One match?
Yeah.
Do
you know what? I'm going to let you
say
moment if you want as well. If you're a bit stuck on this, you can say moment.
So, my favorite match, my number, if it has to be number one, it would be opening up the SCCC, 4,000 people with Stevie and myself, and then for the Zero G title, and the moment would probably be the after me winning the Zero G belt, like that moment and that reaction, because my mum and dad were there.
Nice.
It was a, I don't even know how to put it into words, but
it just makes it that much more special.
I just forget getting bullied, and then like obviously I'm not a WWE wrestler yet, but that was when it was massive, and that's when I can remember it was 1, 2, 3, and everybody, when my music's playing, 4,000 people gone mental. And I just started greeting. It was like, wow. It was just a rush of emotions, all kind of flooding.
It's going back to them bullies. It's like, fuck you guys.
Yeah. I was just like, yes, fucking, here we go. So
That's sick. That's sick, man. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hi there, I'm Sarah, aka China Syndrome, and I'll be appearing on What Do You Call It podcast.
You heard. We just took a quick break then. Thank you for coming back to the last part of my interview with Davey Blaze. So Davey was talking about your run in ICW, the origins, Take Me Out. That was pretty fucking hilarious. Lionheart. But what I do want to talk about is sort of your transformation. If a fan was to watch you back in ICW, I would have been like your mid-20s or early 20s and just, a kid basically. But to see where you are now, just see your transformation in terms of your look and how shredded you are, just you being just different person in a way, just even I was like, oh shit, yeah, it's Dave Blake. Scares the shit out of me now. No, you're actually a good lad. Like we actually get on quite well, to be fair.
Thank you, bro.
But yeah, no, just turn back your transformation, mate. You're absolutely fucking shredded. Not to say you wasn't in ICW, by the way. Like, always quite well built, like really well built, to be fair. But looking now, beast mode.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. So with my transformation, obviously it's come back to kind of when I came out of hospital, because I'd never been in a gym after that. So my older brother John, he kind of started taking me to the gym with him. Right, I was always a fit guy. Like me and my brothers were always fit. Like, we were always kind of athletic and kind of working out and stuff. But I always get told I always wanted to lift heavy weights and stuff like that, right? And but I was too young, so it was like you need to kind of wait till like you're 12, like, and then you could start. So I was like, right, okay. So I was like, until I turned 12, I was kind of doing bodyweight kind of workouts, and I was kind of only it really, right? I didn't really know what I was doing. But it was when I came out the hospital after getting the attack, and the first night I was at the hospital and I came back home, like my mum and dad, like we were sitting as a family, me, Martin and John, that's my 2 older brothers, and it was at the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, Predator, so where he plays Dutch Shaper. So I was seen this big guy, like kind of cigar stogies, like I build like muscles that kind of I've never really seen on anybody before, like not even guys in WWE. So I was like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? And he's like, I remember the first bit of the movie ever, I like pure fell in love. He like kind of throws his bag out, and then he kind of meets what's his name, Carol Weathers, who kind of played Apollo Creed in Rocky.
Yeah,
it's like he's playing Dylan in Predator. So it's when they go like that, like Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, the fucking veins are popping out your screen.
Aye, he's like, what's the matter, Dylan? The CIA got you pushing too many pencils. What the fuck is this die business? But it's I fell in love with him straight away. And I want to have a look like that. I want to look like that. Obviously, that was when I went. Obviously, that gave me the drive as well when I came through the hospital, like to go and do this. Like I've always been one of the guys. It was I've been me and my brothers have been brought up. Sorry, but Arnold Schwarzenegger became my idol. So when I turned 12, I started going to the gym and taking supplements and then eating and stuff like that. And I was training with my brother, and then by the time when I got to know the ropes and how to work out properly and then do it myself, I was left to my own kind of journey, if you will. So I was like, by the time that I started wrestling training at 15, because of the size of me, I was when I walked in the door, the first day of wrestling training, I was like bigger than most of the adults. Like they thought I was older. Like they thought I was like maybe 17, 18, but they didn't believe me that I was 15. My body weight was 13.5 stone at that point at 15. And then through the years, like when I got into shows and stuff like that, I used to. This was like in my teenage years. I'd like kind of do what bodybuilders do. I'd be like do like kind of the off season bulk, and then before like when it comes to like 16 or 12 weeks before the big like the Scottish companies big shows, like or if I'm doing anything kind of like TV work wise or what, like I would then get shredded. I would get lean, kind of lean out with the muscle mass and that. So I would like change diets, change my workouts and stuff. And then I would start to get to the point where it was like over 21. So it was like my kind of genetic, like I've always had good genetics, but it was like my like testosterone levels and kind of started then slowing down. But it still didn't. I've always been like a mutant to the gym. Like I could look at a weight and then get big. You know what I mean? But it was like growing when I get past, like I think it was roughly maybe 23. When I was 23, I was like 16.5 stone, and I was quite lean. And then when I was 24, but that was I must have been a bit maybe still 16.5. That was when we done that, opened up the hydro. And I was looking pure lean. Like I didn't look out of place beside Joe Hendry. And that's the other thing as well. It's always blown people away. Like when I've been in like the ring with guys like Wolfgang or like kind of like Bad Bones or Lionheart or like Muscle, like Johnny Moss and that. Like obviously they're bigger than me in like many ways. But as long as I've always been told like if you go into the ring, you want to look like a wrestler. Like you could wrestle at one like all day long till you're blue in the face, but if you don't have a look, then it's not going to. You're just going to look like a jobber. So I was.
People in the crowd are going, "Oh, I can beat him up."
Yeah, I 100%. Or you want to make it believable that you're putting up a fight, like you can still beat him. So it was like I'd always had that drilled into me for discovering Arnold Schwarzenegger and then him being my idol. So it was like I had the physique, the size, and the muscles, like leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else, like even adults. I would only get bigger to when I was obviously getting older every single year. But it was the biggest that I've ever been. Was when I 2019, just 2019 going into early 2020. I was 19 stone. I just lean, like muscle mass. Like I was training with BT Gunn, Stevie Boy, Wolfgang, Molly Spartan, and Casey Owens, and Wolfgang's gym, Iron Girders. And we were absolutely smashing the workouts, like always together as a group, like kind of doing sweat days. So sweat days would be like kind of where you obviously sweat everything out, but it's like kind of circuit training. So it's like we'll all be doing something kind of all at the one time, and then when that person's done, you go onto that and you switch. So it's
You
like
find yourself being competitive as well whilst you're doing this with each other.
yeah, like competitive in the way that it is like even though we're that competing against each other, but we're still working and motivating each other. Like for instance, like there was times where I would struggle. So when we were doing superset days, like push and pull days, we were doing supersets. So it's like you start off, like say 15 kilo, but then you do pyramids. So pyramids is basically like you would go 15 kilo and then go up to the heaviest. And when you get to the heaviest, you would then all your workouts would do like reps to failure. And I would have BT Gunn or Stevie Boy beside me, like spotting me, but it would be like push. So it's like it's good that we all had each other, because there's times where I've been in the gym myself, and it's like you get through it, but you're miserable. You don't want to be there.
It does help, yeah.
Aye, so it was great. Like it was I then severed my left arm. It was the main artery that obviously connects into my heart. In November 2001, and I nearly lost my life. I remembered the kind of medical army medical training that my dad and my brother John, my brother Martin always taught me. It was like if anything like that ever happens, like make sure you've got a belt and have it like just above your bicep, pull it tight. And I'd honestly, like I was grey, like my lips were blue, everything. And I nearly lost the whole arm as well, because there was infection. There was an infection in it and stuff like that, and bacteria.
Yeah.
But obviously they've saved the arm, so it was like after that I had to take a year out. And then when I came back, like it was the arm still to this day. It's never really ever been 100%.
You still have the arm, though. That's
yeah.
I'm still lucky.
It's like my whole training, like kind of in the gym, like kind of the diets. Obviously they change, but the way that I used to be, like I would probably never ever be able to do the lifting or the kind of supersets like that I used to do, like to now, because obviously this like the damage that I've done to the artery, but I can still kind of go and cause it and lift heavy in the gym, but it's more CrossFit, kettlebells, resistance band training, bodyweight workouts, kind of like circuit set training and stuff like that. So and that's how it's worked out. I think it's worked out a lot better for me, because being that I was the biggest that I was ever been at 19 stone, and it was kind of damaging my body. It was like a lot of weight to carry. Especially only being 6 foot, that my frame, like it wasn't really structured or built for that kind of mass. So
no, I'm glad you explained the transformation that you've been through, like your body, and just Kate's so very lucky as well, the near death experience that you had, losing your arm and ultimately your life. But for you to still be here, you still have a great diet and a great look, and
shit that, brother, because it was like
I can imagine being scary, just
it was so weird, like because nowadays, like I'll say to everybody, like the incident and the accident that happened, like that I done to my arm, like it's worked out better because I learned I had to learn how to kind of rebuild my arm and the rehab, and then obviously how to what new am I got to do? How do I work out again? It's with me. I've probably right now I'm in the best shape I've ever been. I'm leaning out more because I've discovered workouts and kind of how to do it, and different categories and kind of so CrossFit and stuff like that. I've never even kind of been introduced to ever in the fitness or the bodybuilding game, but CrossFit. It's brilliant. That's mainly one of the reasons, and I'm not great at it as what all these other people are. I give my best, and that's as long as you get your best, then that's it. But it's doing the kettlebells, and then still doing sweat days, but then obviously your assault bikes, row machines, battle ropes. That's how I'm leaning out. Kind of being a muscle mass, and then obviously being well cut and well defined.
And you look great, mate, and you're still performing well. And where I do see these days as well, Premier British Wrestling.
Yeah.
Is that the
BCW?
Yeah, is that the place that you would call your current wrestling home?
I would say, but the PBW and BCW are my current homes. They always have been.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you have any plans to come to the UK? Not UK, sorry, England. Just asking, are you going to be coming back to England?
I've got dates for All Star Wrestling.
Oh, nice.
And it's I've wrestled for All Star. All sorts of camp runs.
Very well put shows.
It was
well put together
camp
shows.
runs that I did for All Star. They were only in the Scottish run. I only done one All Star show down in England. It was in Blackpool. It was me and my trainer when we were tagging as in Knockout Kings. It was in Winter Gardens, and it was an All Star show there. But that was years and years ago. But in October, later on in the year in October, I'll be going down and doing the All Star run. I've probably got as well another few motions down there as well. But that'll be the next time I'll be from what I can remember.
Any down the south, mate? Hit me up on Instagram and we'll have a little chat. Maybe we can
we'll get some lunch, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, Davey, last question. It doesn't have to be wrestling related, but I think you're going to find this. I think I know when your answer already, but I'm going to ask the question first. If you could pick 3 dream dinner guests for your dream party, dead or alive, fiction, non-fiction, it could be anyone or anything. Up to you, mate. You're the host, but let me know why. I think you're gonna choose Arnie just because the impression did early. No, I can't do him.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro.
Nice. Why? I know you explained Arnie earlier about your love for him, but why Arnie? Not Arnie, sorry. Why Robert De Niro and Al Pacino?
I've always loved even though I was born in the 90s, but I've always loved the movies that they all done in the 70s and the 80s and stuff like that, especially Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Obviously Al Pacino with The Godfather, Robert De Niro was in it as well, but it was the movies that they done, it was because of their Italian and Sicilian backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it was they done a lot of real life biopics about kind of gangsters and even kind of comedy movies and that as well. They 3 people would be to pick their minds and just listen to their stories. I think it would be an absolute valuable life learning experience. And then just so I could sit there and go to Arnold Schwarzenegger, "Hey, come on, do it now. But to go down.
Get to the chopper now."
I'm like, "Schwarzenegger, who's your daddy? What'd you do?"
It's not a dog, it's a ferret. Mr. Kim, Mr. Kim.
It's a turbo man. Get the turbo. He got
Duma.
Oh, brilliant, man.
Oh, awesome, Davey.
Get to the chopper. Go.
Cool party. If anyone tells you right in the comments that you think Arnie is bad as Mr. Freeze, unsubscribe. No, I'm joking. I love my subscribers. Everyone's got entitled to an opinion, but my opinion's better.
I love Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
I seen
recently there is they're in talks of bringing him back. See for the Matt Reeves,
Yeah.
but there's no obviously that's been postponed again, but it's just hearsay rumours. But apparently,
I will be going to the cinema, and I know it's gonna be shit, right?
I would lose my shit if Arnold Schwarzenegger comes back as Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson, you're Mr. Batman. David Black. No, see I can't see your name in Arnie's voice. I can do everything else, but I can't see David.
No, you nailed it there. You were nailing it. That's how I thought, man. That was brilliant. Go again.
David Black. Where can the listeners find you on social media? So I'll do that in all ways because for some listeners, can you just stop doing this? Davey, where can they find you on social media to keep up to date with what you got lined up for the rest?
Man, dude, spit it out. Say it.
I can't, big man. Where can they find you on social media? That's what I need to ask.
Where everybody can find me on social media is Instagram at Davey Blaze UK and Facebook at Davey Blaze, and that's me.
Wicked. Is there anything else you want to promote? Any upcoming shows? Any matches?
Even if they like kind of look me up on YouTube,
yeah,
in Davey Blaze, you know what I mean. But that's for the social media sites.
Yeah. Especially the Take Me Out video. But no, search them up. There's so many classic matches. There's matches had recently as well. And future matches. Well, just keep searching them. Follow them on social media. I will put your social media handles in the description below so they can follow you. I'll put my social media handles in the description below. You can follow me. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. That'll be much appreciated. But for now, everyone, if you're in the UK, enjoy bank holiday and half term. If you're not in the UK, have a great week, evening, day, whatever. Just get down.
Get down, get to the chopper, go now.
Fire